$50 does not buy much food anymore. It might cover a few grocery bags and disappear in days. But when used carefully, that same amount can build something far more valuable than a short supply of food. It can build a system. A modern victory garden is not about abundance or comfort. It is about dependable calories grown in a small space, with simple tools and realistic expectations. This is not a fantasy garden. It is food designed to actually support a household. This garden is not designed to look impressive. It is not decorative, trendy, or optimized for social media. Every plant must justify the space it occupies. Variety is secondary. Reliability comes first. Crops are chosen based on calories, storage life, and tolerance to imperfect conditions. If a plant does not meaningfully reduce food expenses or increase household resilience, it does not belong in this system. This is a working garden, not a showcase. Victory gardens were never hobbies. During World War II, they were essential infrastructure. Families grew food because stores were unreliable and prices were unpredictable. The concept was simple. Local production reduces risk. Today, the threats have changed, but the principle remains. Rising costs, fragile supply chains, and limited space make home food production relevant again. This modern victory garden follows the same logic, adapted to today's constraints. This garden does not promise total self-sufficiency. That claim is unrealistic and misleading. What it offers is partial independence and real calorie production. Even a modest reduction in store-bought food can stabilize a household budget. More importantly, this system teaches repeatable skills. The harvest matters, but the knowledge matters more. What begins as a small garden can expand gradually as soil improves and experience grows. The $50 limit is intentional. It forces discipline and eliminates unnecessary purchases. There are no raised beds, irrigation systems, or specialty products. Money is spent only on seeds and a few essential materials. Everything else comes from reuse, scavenged organic matter, or the soil itself. This reflects how resilient food systems have always functioned. They rely on labor, planning, and patience, not constant financial input. This system fits into roughly 100 square feet of ground. The space can be a backyard, side yard, or unused patch of soil. Raised beds are optional but not required. What matters is depth, drainage, and organic matter. Even poor soil can produce food if it is allowed to improve over time. The garden is built directly on the ground to minimize cost and maximize long-term soil health. Soil preparation focuses on function, not perfection. Cardboard is used to suppress weeds. Leaves, grass clippings, kitchen scraps, and local manure add organic matter. The soil does not need to be tilled deeply or replaced. This is not instant soil. It improves gradually as plants grow and organic material breaks down. Each season increases fertility, moisture retention, and biological activity without additional expense. Calories are prioritized because calories replace purchased food. Many common garden crops look productive but contribute little energy. Lettuce, herbs, and specialty vegetables have value, but they do not carry a household through difficult periods. The system focuses on crops that deliver measurable nutrition per square foot. A garden that produces calories is infrastructure. A garden that produces only variety is a hobby. The system relies on 3 primary calorie crops: potatoes, dry beans, and winter squash. These plants are not exciting, but they are dependable. They tolerate imperfect soil, variable weather, and minimal inputs. They also store well, allowing harvests to extend beyond the growing season. Together, these crops form the backbone of the garden. All other plants support or supplement this core structure. Potatoes form the foundation of the garden. They produce calories underground, protected from heat, sun, and many pests. 1 pound of seed potatoes can yield several times its weight under reasonable conditions. Potatoes grow vertically in the soil, making efficient use of space. When harvested carefully and stored in cool, dark conditions, they provide reliable food for months without electricity or special equipment. Dry beans provide something most gardens lack: protein that stores well. Pole beans are especially valuable because they grow upward instead of outward, saving space. They also improve soil fertility by fixing nitrogen, benefiting nearby plants. Once fully dried, beans can be stored for years in simple containers. This is not food meant for immediate harvest. It is pantry food, designed to extend nutrition far beyond the growing season. Winter squash converts space, sunlight, and water into dense, storable calories. One plant can produce multiple fruits that last for months without refrigeration. Squash spreads across the soil surface, shading weeds and reducing evaporation. Its thick skin protects the flesh during storage, making it one of the most reliable calorie crops available. This is food that waits patiently until it is needed, long after the garden beds are empty. Supporting crops play a secondary but important role. Cabbage, onions, carrots, and beets fill gaps between calorie crops and extend the usable season. They add variety without displacing core production. Many of these crops store well and tolerate cold conditions. They improve diet quality while respecting the primary goal of the garden. Support crops exist to strengthen the system, not to compete with it. The garden layout follows simple logic. Potatoes occupy a dedicated section with deep soil. Beans grow vertically along edges or trellises. Squash is allowed to spread where space permits. Root crops fill remaining areas efficiently. Nothing is planted randomly. Each crop is placed according to growth habit, harvest timing, and space efficiency. This is not decorative design. It is spatial planning focused on output. Spring planting begins as soon as soil can be worked. Potatoes go in first because they tolerate cool conditions. Early planting spreads labor and reduces pressure later in the season. Soil is prepared only as much as necessary. Perfection is not required. The objective is early establishment, allowing plants to develop strong root systems before heat and competition increase. Summer growth focuses on managing space and moisture. Beans climb upward, freeing ground space. Squash spreads outward, shading soil naturally. Mulch is added continuously to reduce evaporation and suppress weeds. Watering is minimized by improving soil structure rather than installing systems. As plants mature, the garden becomes more stable, requiring less intervention despite increased biomass. Fall is the most important phase of the system. Potatoes and roots are harvested carefully to avoid damage. Beans are left until fully dry. Squash is cured before storage. Harvesting is deliberate, not rushed. Mistakes during this phase reduce winter food supply. The garden's success is measured not by how much is harvested, but by how much remains usable months later. During winter, the garden appears inactive, but the system is still functioning. Stored potatoes, beans, squash, and roots replace store purchases. No electricity or technology is required. Food is accessed gradually, exactly as planned. This is when the value of the system becomes clear. The work was done earlier. Winter simply reveals the results. Water management depends on soil, not equipment. Organic matter increases water retention. Mulch reduces evaporation. Deep-rooted plants access moisture unavailable to shallow crops. This approach works across climates because it adapts naturally to conditions. Instead of fighting weather extremes, the garden absorbs them. Over time, water efficiency improves without additional cost or complexity. Pest control is passive and systemic. Healthy soil produces stronger plants that tolerate damage. Crop spacing improves airflow and reduces disease pressure. Diversity limits large-scale pest outbreaks. Losses are expected and accepted. The objective is not zero damage, but consistent harvest. This approach avoids chemical inputs and reduces dependency on purchased solutions, strengthening the system overall. Fertility in this system is built, not purchased. Plant residues return to the soil instead of being removed. Bean roots contribute nitrogen after harvest. Mulch breaks down slowly, feeding soil organisms. Nothing leaves the system permanently. Over time, fertility increases while effort decreases. This closed-loop approach allows the garden to improve itself each season without additional spending, creating long-term productivity instead of recurring costs. This garden requires labor, and that is intentional. Digging, mulching, planting, harvesting, and storing replace financial input. The work is steady but manageable, spread across the season instead of concentrated in one moment. There are no machines to maintain or systems to repair. Labor becomes predictable and efficient as skills improve. This trait of effort for independence defines resilient food systems. If this kind of practical, no-hype food system is useful to you, consider subscribing. This channel focuses on calm, realistic solutions, not trends or panic. Everything here is built to work quietly, over time. Most failures come from overcomplication. Planting too many varieties, neglecting soil, or harvesting at the wrong time reduces results. This system rewards restraint and consistency. Fewer crops planted well and maintained properly outperform diverse but poorly managed gardens. Success comes from repetition, not experimentation. Doing the same things correctly each season produces reliable outcomes. Storage completes the system. Without proper storage, harvests lose value quickly. Potatoes require cool, dark conditions. Squash needs dry air and time to cure. Beans require full drying before storage. None of this demands technology, only planning. Storage allows food grown in one season to support a household for months. It transforms fresh produce into long-term security. Seed saving reduces costs and increases resilience. Beans, squash, and many root crops produce viable seeds with minimal effort. Over time, saved seeds adapt to local conditions. Each season reduces dependence on purchased inputs. What begins as a $50 garden slowly detaches from external systems. Seed saving turns a temporary project into a permanent asset. Scaling the system is straightforward. Additional space follows the same structure. Soil preparation, crop selection, and storage remain unchanged. No redesign is required. The system is modular. Each new section strengthens the whole. Expansion happens gradually, guided by experience instead of ambition. This prevents burnout and preserves consistency as production increases. Failure provides useful information. Poor yields reveal soil limitations, spacing errors, or timing issues. These lessons inform the next season. Because the system relies on redundancy and simple crops, mistakes rarely cause total loss. The garden is designed to absorb error without collapse. Each failure strengthens the system rather than undermining it. Time is a critical ingredient. Soil improvement cannot be rushed. Skills develop gradually. Expectations must match reality. This system favors patience over intensity. Gardens built too quickly often fail because they ignore biological limits. Gardens built slowly tend to last. Time compounds effort, turning small improvements into lasting gains. Costs remain low because nothing is replaced annually. Tools last for years. Seeds are saved. Soil fertility improves instead of degrading. The initial $50 is not spent repeatedly. It establishes a base that becomes more productive over time. This financial stability is as important as food production itself. This garden works because it respects physical limits. Plants grow where conditions allow. Calories are prioritized, storage is planned, there are no shortcuts or tricks. These methods have fed people for generations because they align with biology and physics. Reliability comes from working with those limits, not trying to bypass them. 100 square feet will not feed a family by itself, and pretending otherwise damages trust. What it does provide is a meaningful share of calories that directly replace purchased food. Potatoes, beans, and squash carry far more energy than leafy crops. When people measure success by calories instead of volume, expectations align with reality. This garden succeeds because it targets nutritional impact, not visual abundance. This system does not replace every grocery item. It replaces specific ones consistently. Potatoes, dry beans, squash, onions, and roots are no longer bought weekly. That reduction compounds over time. Fewer purchases mean fewer trips, less exposure to price swings, and lower stress. The value of the garden appears gradually, not dramatically, as food bills stabilize rather than disappear. This garden is not locked to one climate. The structure remains the same even as crops change. In colder regions, potatoes and cabbage dominate. In warmer climates, sweet potatoes, cowpeas, and winter squash fill the same roles. Timing adjusts, principles do not. The system survives because it adapts to conditions instead of fighting them, making it usable across a wide range of environments. Limited space does not prevent participation. This system works in small yards, shared spaces, and temporary locations. It avoids permanent structures and expensive materials. Beds can be built directly on soil and removed without damage. Even partial implementation provides value. The system scales down as easily as it scales up, allowing people to participate without ownership or long-term commitments. This garden does not demand daily attention. Most weeks require only brief maintenance. Planting and harvest create seasonal peaks, but routine care remains manageable. Consistency matters more than intensity. Short, regular work sessions outperform occasional bursts of effort. The system integrates into normal life instead of competing with it, which is why it lasts. Unexpected frost, drought, or pests can reduce yields, but the system does not collapse. Redundancy protects against total loss. Storage crops buffer poor seasons. Soil improvements carry forward regardless of harvest size. This garden absorbs shocks rather than breaking under them. Stability comes from preparation, not control, and no single failure ends the system. Knowing food is available changes behavior. Stored calories reduce anxiety and improve decision-making. People shop differently when part of their needs are already met. This psychological effect is subtle but powerful. Food security is not just physical supply. It is the confidence that basic needs are covered, even partially, by systems you control. Most people abandon gardening because expectations are shaped by unrealistic examples. Online content often hides labor, failure, and time. This system rejects that illusion. It is slow, repetitive, and practical. Those who accept that reality tend to continue. Those who seek constant novelty usually quit. Longevity favors systems designed for boredom, not excitement. Soil improvement does not disappear. Saved seeds persist. Skills compound. This garden leaves something behind even if production stops. Children inherit better soil and usable knowledge, not instructions. Over time, the system becomes less about output and more about continuity. Food systems that endure across seasons become part of household identity. This system is modern, not nostalgic. It does not try to recreate the past. It adapts old principles to present realities. Smaller spaces, higher costs, limited time. The crops are traditional because they work, not because they are romantic. The methods are simple because complexity increases failure. This garden fits into modern life without depending on modern supply chains. Food security is not about perfection. It is about margin. Even partial production reduces vulnerability. When prices rise or availability drops, this garden absorbs pressure quietly. It does not solve every problem, but it creates options. Options matter more than abundance. A household with options is harder to destabilize than one fully dependent on external systems. Resilience rarely looks dramatic. There are no crisis moments or sudden victories. It looks like fewer grocery trips, lower expenses, and stocked shelves. The garden works in the background, unnoticed until it is needed. This quiet reliability is its greatest strength. Systems that demand attention often fail when attention is unavailable. This garden is not fast. Results improve over seasons, not weeks. Soil deepens, yields stabilize, storage skills improve. The system rewards consistency rather than urgency. People who rush often quit. People who build slowly tend to continue. Durability comes from pacing effort over time instead of chasing immediate results. This system is designed for households that value stability over trends. It suits people willing to trade effort for independence. It does not require perfect conditions, only consistency. The garden meets people where they are and improves as they do. It grows with the household rather than demanding constant upgrades or attention. A project has an endpoint. A system does not. This garden is built to continue operating year after year. Each season strengthens the next through better soil, saved seeds, and improved skills. Momentum replaces motivation. What begins as a small effort becomes routine, and routine becomes security. The real return on this garden is not vegetables alone. It is knowledge, confidence, and reduced dependence. These returns compound quietly. Skills learned once apply everywhere. Soil improvements last for years. Each success reinforces the system and reduces future effort. This is long-term value, not short-term output. Starting small is a strategic choice. Limited space prevents overextension and burnout. Early success builds confidence and habits. Expansion comes naturally after proof, not before. This approach protects the system from collapse due to ambition. Growth is earned, not assumed. A modern victory garden does not announce itself. It does not rely on fear or nostalgia. It simply works. It feeds households quietly and consistently. It creates stability without attention. In uncertain environments, systems that function without constant input are the most valuable. $50 cannot buy food security, but it can build the foundation for it. This modern victory garden is not about panic or idealism. It is about calm preparation, applied patiently, built once, improved slowly, and relied upon when needed. Food that feeds you, grown with intent, becomes more than a garden. It becomes infrastructure.